Hello, everyone. Welcome to the season 2 premiere of Hope Live. So great to be back. I'm Adriana Malazzi. We have a great show for you today. Today's guest is an award-winning content creator, prolific dance music recording artist, and songwriter who advocates for disability inclusion, equity, and accessibility in the music and entertainment industry.
You pour me a new drink. So many things trying, so many keep crying. If there's anything I've noticed, if I know anything I know, then show me that I'm wanted. Show me that I got you wherever you go. You got me high or low. Wherever you go. You got me high or low. Wherever you go. You got me high or low. Wherever you go. You got me high or low.
And please welcome Lachi. Hello, Lachi. Oh no, hold on a sec. We can't hear you. Your mic is muted. Oops. Can't hear you. Your mic is still muted. Oh gosh. This is live, guys. This is what live looks like. You cannot plan for this. Cannot hear you still. It's okay.
Now can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Great. Okay.
So sorry about that. Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm so excited to have you here.
Yes.
It is the day after ADA 31.
Yes.
What better way to start our second season?
Yes.
With you and celebrating Disability Pride Month.
Yeah.
Why don't you quickly just introduce yourself, and for those who don't know who you are, just give a little background.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me on here, Adriana. I've always really appreciated your leadership and the work that you do. Very excited to share myself and my experience with your audience here today. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lachi, like Apache or Hibachi or Mariachi. So I am a legally blind creative artist. I have worked with some really amazing folks here in the music industry, especially in dance music. I have done a lot of work in the music and the entertainment industry to try to just get that conversation about inclusion, especially as it pertains to folks with disability in the music space. I am also on the Recording Academy Advocacy Committee, and I'm actually really excited to announce today, literally yesterday, I was named chair of the committee, co-chair of the committee. So very excited to share that, because all it really does is help elevate my work in getting disability and disability awareness and the inclusion on that front more visibility in the recording arts and in the music industry. So I'm really excited to be here, really excited to share my stuff with you guys. I've done a lot of stuff. Just look me up. I'm everywhere.
Yes, she definitely is. And congratulations on being named chair. So
thank you.
Give us a little background on when, I've watched some of your interviews, and you stated that you were playing piano in a college dorm. So how
Yes.
do you go from playing piano in the college dorm to dance music diva? Yeah, how do you go from that?
She said dance music diva. I love it.
You are, you are.
Well, thank you. I will snag that as a compliment. But yeah, I mean, I started, I was like a shy kid. I spent a lot of time just doing my own thing while kids were running around, hanging out and socializing. I was in a corner writing songs. And that was really what took me out of my shell was music, actually, in the first place. Through music, I made friends. So when I got to college, I joined different clubs. I ended up playing the piano in my dorm every Saturday, which eventually turned into this whole big to-do where every Saturday frat boys and folks on dates would start lining up around the piano just to watch me play. They'd yell out Freebird, things like that. And it just continued to break me out of my shell from this shy kid that was blind and awkward to the music girl. In fact, they called me the piano girl. That was my name in college. Um, and then it drove me to move out to New York, music itself. And it just, not knowing where to find confidence, especially as a woman with a disability, someone who's intersectional with race as well, it's very difficult to find confidence because of the external, what I call non-validation, the constant sort of microaggressions and the double standards of being a woman with a disability and also being an African-American woman with a disability. But through music, I was able to find that little tuft of internal validation where I myself knew I was good, and so I continued to pursue that. I mean, I ended up getting a day job and was like, you know what? This isn't where the internal validation, where I'm proud of myself, is coming from. And so when I began to really full-fledgedly pursue music, things kept flying in. It was like, despite the fact that people would look at me and go, I shouldn't work with her, but she's really good, so I guess I will. Continued to be the repeated case, and then eventually led to the awards and the nominations and the millions of streams and the touring and the, being able to be in these great, awesome rooms with top execs and top labels, and, just constantly letting them know, like, it doesn't matter what I look like, how I act like, I'm just really good at music and better than the other guy. So that's how I got here.
Awesome. So yesterday we acknowledged the 31st anniversary of the signing with the Americans with Disabilities Act. Mm-hmm. How has that played a role in your life, the ADA, to, where you are today with your career? How has that played a role in your life?
The ADA is one of the most important legislative acts, obviously, for disability as it stands today, because at the end of the day, until there is ink on paper, it's very difficult for people to take the disability plight seriously. It's difficult to take any plight seriously until there's ink on paper validating the plight, saying, listen, in your heart of hearts, you really shouldn't discriminate, but I guess we have to make it a law so that you can actually do it. And that's really what the ADA is saying. And we need that because we are a population that is discriminated against it's a lot of the times it is, I don't know how to say it. It's like not on purpose. I'm looking for that word. But
unintentional.
Thank you. So there's a lot of unintentional discrimination, unintended bias. And sometimes you just have to say, hey, look at this. This is why you can't do that. And it's not necessarily to run around and drag out lawsuits by any means, but it is for us to be able to say, hello, look, there is a standard on how you should treat me based on this aspect of my identity. And I think the fact that it has withstood time, 31 years, is great. However, there is so much that needs to be done when it comes to enforcing this law. As we know, I mean, anyone in the disability community knows that there are just so many folks that are just kind of fly-by-nighting it, not really reading between the lines. A lot of folks that are, if they're even taking it into account, they're just trying to do the bare minimum to not get sued. And that's not the spirit of the ADA. That's not why it was put together. It's not just so that you can skirt by. It's so that you can welcome and embrace accessibility. Listen, if folks identify as a person with a disability, this is an identity. So we're asking you to accept part of who we are, not to sit here and say, hey, look, I turned in my essay. You should go ahead and give me a grade. No, we're not just looking for you to turn in some essay. We're looking for you to actually do research and fall in love with the material you're researching, if I can sort of stick with my analogy that I'm making here.
Uh-huh.
We want to be welcomed, and that's what the ADA really stands for. But the truth of the matter is that it really does need enforcement, and we are lacking as a complete society, really getting folks to actually follow what needs to be followed and to grasp onto the spirit of what we intended with the ADA. And that's an ongoing battle forever. I mean, it's the same with any civil rights law.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And last night was especially significant for you because something premiered on PBS. I watched it and it was awesome, and I can't wait for more episodes. So why don't you tell us about that project?
Yes. Oh my goodness. I really had so much fun. So just to give you a quick overview of what it was, it's called Renegades, although I'm partly thinking they want to extend the title. But really what it is we go through historical, am I allowed to say like badasses on this? Because I just did.
That's fine.
We go through historical badasses with disabilities, and we highlight the amazing things they did. And I'm so excited that the first episode where we talked about Kitty O'Neill, who's a deaf stunt woman, speed racer, she doubled as Wonder Woman, and she was deaf. And she's definitely unsung. And so I was really excited to be able to highlight her. We met up with Kai Michelson, who was one of her speed racer car builders. And he kind of took us through basically a lot of what she had to do. I had the pleasure of getting to ride in the car, but it was really amazing. And the folks that helped me put it together, and, PBS is really excited about it, by the way. But the folks that helped me put it together, like Day Al Muhammad and Charlotte Mangan and Amanda Upson. And first of all, it was a disability-led crew. It was a brown girl crew. And we threw this all together, and we had the most amazing time putting it together. So I would encourage folks to go check it out. It came out really well. And just a little fun tidbit, it was really interesting because when Judy Heumann and Jim LeBrecq were going to the Oscars to go be dazzling on the red carpet, I was just bugging Judy via text because every time a friend of mine is going to an award show, I want to be like that arm candy, virtual arm candy. So I'm just like, how are you? Where are you now? What are you wearing? How are your earrings looking right now? Are you done? Are you ready? Are you sweating? Are you excited? Okay, no. And I'm like, she hasn't texted me back in 10 minutes. What's going on? Is she okay? But during that time, she was like, you need to meet my friend Day. Day is amazing. She's just doing all sorts of stuff. And I was like, yeah, I heard of Day, but like, whatever. And she was like, no, I don't mean heard of Day. I mean, you need to know Day. She hooked us up, and then here comes this amazing project that we put together. And I've been super grateful ever since. Just this whole from top to bottom working on it has been great. And I really hope that it picks up. So check it out, leave a comment, and support amazing disabled folk.
That's awesome. So you've been this amazing artist for several years. What is the most memorable or favorite performance?
Ooh, what is the most memorable or favorite performance? Just so many, to be completely honest. I think a performance of mine that a lot of folks really appreciated was I've been on a lot of stages, and I've been on some big stages, and I've been on some smaller stages, and recently I've been on a lot of virtual stages. And I think one of the funnest, more recent virtual sort of stage up situations I was in was actually the Disability Pride Festival of last year. Disability Pride Philly put on this virtual festival that lasted, I don't know, the entire month of June and July, I think. It was just like a show a day. And I put on this fun show where I did this whole Black Hair Power, where I just had my whole big afro out. I sang a few of my songs, but I really delved into my experience as a Black female. I was talking about how I was a raised white Black. I was a raised non-disabled blind person, and I was a raised tomboy girl. And I was also, my parents were immigrants, but I was born here. And so the whole journey of that sort of performance was taking people through the fact that I'm just like this ball of who am I? And it went over very well. And it was really encouraging just to me personally, and also to everybody that watched it. So even though it was a much smaller performance, and even though it was virtual and, I wasn't in the air with all of my fans, I think that was one of my favorite, more recent ones.
Awesome. And then a question that I ask all of my guests at the end of this section of our program is, you are a role model to so many people. Who is or are your role models?
That's a really great question, because when I was growing up, there weren't people like me out on TV, right? So I always wanted to be a musician and an entertainer. And when I turned on the TV back in the late 90s and the early, let me not age myself, but when I would turn on the TV, I wasn't seeing a Black female musician that also had a disability. It didn't really even matter, the disability. I mean, yes, there was the Stevie Wonders, but he's not disabled. And yes, there are powerhouse Black females, but they just weren't, I'm sorry, Stevie Wonder was not a female, and there were Black females who weren't disabled. So it was really hard to find someone that could really make me visualize what I wanted to be. But I did really enjoy folks like I'm a huge fan, even still, of Lauryn Hill, because she was so herself in her music, and it engaged me to do the same. Huge fan of Alicia Keys, namely because she was like a Black girl playing the piano. That was my whole life. And just so many others. I was actually a huge Erykah Badu fan. And then my mom was a huge Beatles fan for whatever reason. And so they were just into the Beatles in West Africa, I guess. And so I listened to the Beatles growing up. I listened to a lot of sort of like late 90s kind of grungy, basement music. But then my mom also pushed a lot of like Chopin, Beethoven, Mozart onto me. So I'm just a big conglomeration when it comes to music. When it comes to advocacy, obviously, Judy Heumann is a huge inspiration to me. Just the fact that she said, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to start a movement. And that's what I'm all about, especially with this sort of pioneering into advocacy in music, especially at the sort of major level, at the level of the working professional musician in pop and in rock and in stuff like that. No one's doing that. And so I'm excited to pioneer that, especially with my organization Ramped, recording artists and music professionals with disabilities. But to look up to folks like Judy, who also kind of was like, you know what, no one's doing this right now, I am going to go ahead and do this, is really inspiring. Let's not say inspiring. Let's say it motivates me to continue.
I like that. Yeah. So that was awesome. So now we have a few members of Hope that have come up with questions for you. And so they will be up and interviewing you.
Okay. All right.
Oh, hi, Lachi.
Hi.
I'm Raymond.
Hi, Raymond. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Awesome.
I have my brown short hair. I got my glasses. I'm just male. And I got Red Patriot shirt.
You have a Red Patriots shirt?
Oh, yes, Lachi.
Are you a Patriots fan?
Yeah.
Ugh.
So my question is, how many songs have you written?
How many songs have I written? Wow, that's I've written more songs than I can count. I know that I've probably released about over 50, but in terms of written, we're going to have to go with somewhere over 300. If we're talking about co-written, we're going to go even higher than that. I mean, all I do is write songs day up, sun up, sun down, just like breathing air. You're going to catch me songwriting. All of my experiences as a woman with a disability, sit me in front of a piano, and that piano is going to get beat with all my lyrics. So I'm going to go ahead and say well over 300.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your question, Raymond.
No problem, Lachi.
Even though you're a Patriots fan.
Well, thank you.
Next is the Joey. Joey's up next.
Joey, what's
Hello.
up? How are you doing?
Not much. Let's see. I have brown hair, red shirt, and blue eyes. My question for you is, what did your inspiration is?
Inspiration. What is
Inspiration.
Cool. Yeah. Actually, one of my biggest inspirations is actually living in New York City. So I chose to move here on my own without my parents, and it was really scary. But I was really determined to do music, acting, writing, anything to do in entertainment, and people kept encouraging me to move here. And when I finally got here, I was like, wow, everyone is just such a big character. All the buildings are huge. There's people everywhere. No one's judging me. Some days are loud, some days are quiet. Some days are full of just so much energy. Some days are pulled back. Some days I feel rich. Some days I feel poor. Some days the music is all over the place. Some days it's about the weather and the water. And my experiences here as a New Yorker with the independence that I have here in New York to have these experiences is literally one of my biggest inspirations. I feel that this city has grown also. Like it used to be a quiet city and now it's
A lot of
boombastic.
cities.
And I feel like I went on that journey too. I used to be quiet and shy, and I got to open up along with this city. So the city is actually a huge inspiration for me. And I feel like all people with disabilities should have that freedom to be able to be independent, not just in New York, but in all cities.
Was it your passion to live in New York, or was it another city that you lived in, or?
So before I lived in New York, I lived in North Carolina, and it was fine. Everything was kind of a little slower, right? But I was very dependent on people to drive me around. And there wasn't really a music scene. And so it was New York that made me, it was like I had this thing in my head that said, girl, you got to go to New York. New York is going to be the place for you. And I followed it. So it really was my passion that drove me to move to New York and to follow and pursue my career as a musician.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joey. And now we have Kayvon up.
Hello.
Hi, Tavon.
My name is Kayvon Halasia. I have
Nice
black
to meet you.
hair, black skin. I'm a male. I have a purple shirt today.
Nice.
With glasses. New question. How long have you been a professional to singing?
Yes. Okay. Firstly, purple is my favorite color. So
Yeah.
yay there. How long have I been a professional singer? Ooh, let me see how I can navigate this question without giving away my age. So I've been, if I want to talk about when I really professionally started releasing songs was in 2015 when I put out an EP called Boss with a Sony imprint. And that song ended up getting on TV and getting on the radio. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a singer now. And so that was when I really became a notable professional. But before that, actually, in 2010 was when I first went to my first festival, which was down in Texas. It was me and a friend who played guitar. We were both actually blind. And we somehow made it to, I don't even know how we got there. We made it to Texas and we played in this festival. And before I went, I wrote an email to a bunch of record label execs. And I said, I'm going to be playing in Texas. You should come. Don't ask me how I got your email. Obviously, nobody responded. Wow. We went to Texas and we played, and a label showed up and said, I love you. I need to sign you. And so it turned out they were under EMI. And so we just got signed right there. Well, a year later after all the lawyers and stuff. So in 2010 was when I got my first record deal, but it really wasn't until 2015 that I started getting on the radio and getting on TV and stuff like that. So that's a long, convoluted way of saying 7 years, maybe 6 years is how long I've probably been doing this professionally. So it's been a long time coming, but here I am.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your question, Tavon.
It's Kayvon.
Kayvon! Thank you so much for your question, Kayvon, and thank you for correcting me.
Yeah. Welcome, Lachi.
Lachi like.
I'm a good singer too.
Really?
Yeah.
I love it. Totally. Yeah. You better nurture that vocal cord. Keep it nice and strong.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Beja. See you later.
All right, and now Kevin is up next. Kevin.
Hey, my name's Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
I have short black hair, wicked tall. I have a mask with the heart, American flag, and I'm wearing an orange shirt.
Awesome.
My question is, have any of your songs been on the radio?
Yes. A few of my songs have actually aired on the radio, but most notably, I did a song with Snoop Dogg and a couple of other artists called Rude. And that song ended up playing on all over New York radio. I think the most exciting was I was hanging out in my room just listening to music, and the song Rude came on. And I was like, that's me, I'm in the radio. And so we got all of our cameras out and we started taking pictures and trying to video record it. And it was part of a remix, like a mix show. So if you're familiar with a mix show, it means like they only play like the song for 30 seconds and then they go to the next song because they're remixing it. And I was like, everybody hurry up, turn on the cameras and take me listening to this, hurry up before it ends. And then they get like a video of me yelling that. It's like the videos turn on and I'm going, turn on the camera. So I'm yelling over the song in the video. And since then, my songs have been placed on TV. I remember I was just sitting around and one of my managers called and she was like, turn on Oxygen Network. And I was like, okay, so we turned it on. And there was my song just playing in the background of just one of the TV shows on there. In fact, it was, I think it was Bad Girls Club. My song was playing while one of the girls was, it's a very like bad show. It's not a good show. All of the girls on the show are always fighting. And my song was playing when one of the girls was getting kicked out. And she was like, I don't need this. I don't care what you say. And I was like, why does my song have to play right now? But yeah, so yes. So those are some examples of my songs on TV and radio. Thank you so much this is so much fun going down memory lane.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
All right. And now Ray, another Ray, not the same Ray, is up to ask a question.
Cool. Hi, Ray.
I mean, my hair, pink shirt.
My question is?
Do you have a question?
Harness. Yeah. And seven. Animal.
So have you had any service animals? Is what Ray wants to know.
I actually have not had any service animals. So the way my blindness works is I'm able to see during the day. For now, it's getting worse. And so I can see a little bit during the day, and I have night blindness. And so at night, I use a white cane for the most part. But I have not ever had a service animal. A lot of times I will have maybe a companion, especially if I'm going to a networking event. But I have not have had a service animal. I owned a beta fish in my day. I had a pet. I didn't do the best job taking care of it because I got to take care of me first. But I have not had a service animal. I am considering it though because I hear that it's not only good for helping my vision loss, but to have that constant companion. I mean, there's a reason why people get dogs, regardless as to why they're service animals, just for mental health, companionship, and the ability to learn to love and have gratitude outside of yourself. So it is something that I am considering. Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you, Ray. And Daniel was going to ask the next question. You kind of just answered it, but yes, Daniel, if you'd like to still ask your question, come on up.
Hi, I'm Daniel. Nice to
Hi,
meet
Daniel.
you, Lachi.
Nice to meet you too, Daniel.
Can you describe yourself? I'm there right now.
I'm wearing a red shirt. I'm Deborah. I have a handsome face, and I'm a white male, and I have brown hair
Okay.
and blue eyes.
I love it. I love it. Everyone should totally always say that when they're describing themselves.
My question is, do you have any pets?
I don't currently have any pets. Like I said before, I did have a beta fish named Skeeter Johnson, who was in fact, he had his own Facebook page for a while. But do I have any pets now? No, I have a manager and a partner, but I would never call them pets. Don't tell them I said that. I answered them as my pets. But no, I don't currently have any pets. I am considering possibly getting a service animal, which I recognize is not necessarily a pet. So I think the answer to your question is just no. It's a roundabout way of saying no. I don't have any pets. Thank you so much, handsome.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Lachi, for being here.
Yes.
I wanted to quickly ask you, since we're talking about New York radio, and I grew up in the New York metro area, or the tri-state area, I should say.
Gotcha.
What is your favorite station?
Oof, what is my favorite station? I don't know that I have a favorite station. Frankly, I am actually more of a Spotify gal myself. Okay. And look, I recognize that we should be supporting terrestrial radio. And so it's actually bad that I'm sitting here going like, I'm all about streaming. Well, meanwhile, streaming is giving us 4 cents per 8 million streams. But I mean, any radio station that I can listen to that gives me an eclectic feel of music. So I'm not necessarily just looking for rap or hip hop, but I'm not necessarily just looking for rock and grunge. So anything can give me like sort of that vibe of feel good music is what I stick to. I used to really like 92.3. But I think that station has now switched to a whole different format.
I think so.
Yes. And I mean, like my song did the whole like tour was on Power. So Power is a really, big sort of clear channel radio station that owns pretty much one channel in every city. And so we have 105.1 over here. And that was the station where I heard my song and was yelling at everybody to record me.
I was wondering because I grew up listening to Z100.
Z100. I love Z100. The only problem I had to stop listening to Z100 because they have this show on there called Battle of the Roses. And I just can't anymore. It's too hard. I can't listen to it.
I remember that. Oh, right.
Such a horrible, very Maury Polvic-esque show.
Yes. Well, Lachi, this was so much fun. Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to our season premiere. And I think you could tell that we hadn't done this in a while with some of the glitches that we had today. But thank you again, and see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. So good.
On behalf of everyone at House of Possibilities, thank you to today's guest for an engaging conversation and you for tuning into this episode of Hope Live. Hope Live is possible because of the generosity of our community. You can help us continue to provide quality programming for individuals with disabilities by making a donation at houseofpossibilities.org/donate. We look forward to seeing you at our next episode.